All right. Hey guys, this is Lex Talk episode 2. A little different setup this time. I'm standing up. I got my camera mounted on the top of this little table bar arch. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the Wholf campaign, or the Wholf campaign, whatever you want to call it. Mainly the world itself, Escabur. So, for my avid viewers, people who have been subscribed for a year plus, you all know that I have a tendency to use this placeholder world called Exeter, just a simple name, and it's been used maybe a dozen times. I don't know. I'm not really keeping tally on the wall here, but it's a good go-to. It's a simple go-to. Exeter. That's it. And so with this new Wholf campaign that I've been doing for 20 plus episodes now, that has probably concluded and will be mentioned in this video, a transitional phase of the Wholf campaign. The Escabur world was split into two islands. There was a South Escabur and there was North Escabur. They were almost equally in size. We explored roughly four or so locations, and that's really it. These four locations were of all usual settlements. You had a village, ruins, a city, and almost like a castle Hogwarts blend temple area. And they were all very vital to the story. Wholf made his way from Ravenshade to Ashward, and then to the city of Aldrich, then eventually to the Temple of Dragon, which is where the last arc past Echoes concluded. The first arc, which was Dark Realm, started in the Ravenshade, village of Ravenshade, town of Ravenshade, and it was guided by AI, so a lot of the names I think came from GPT. And I was experimenting using Elder Scrolls as kind of a foundation, kind of a setting for the Elf campaign, and eventually I kind of left it to the side. Not because of copyright issues or anything. I just wanted to. First off, it was intriguing to see how well GPT can handle a Elder Scrolls setting, but to be honest, I kind of pushed that aside, and eventually we went to analog play. And I think Elder Scrolls in the back of my mind, but then ultimately became my own little world. So Elder Scrolls had a inspiration, obviously, into the setting itself. But what I'm trying to basically do now is evolve Escobar to its own unique world, entirely not driven by AI, not going to be randomly picked or used in the future, but actually a world setting I want to make prominent in my channel. And here's what I'm thinking. So we know Wholf has been a very dominant, the main character of the first two arcs. He is vital to the Escobar campaign, to the Wholf campaign, but the first two arcs were about 24 or so episodes total, split into two. Eventually, obviously, like 12 or so per. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, Holf found the person responsible who killed his family, killed, quote unquote. His mother died at a much younger age. His father most likely died. But I left it up to interpretation. Kind of a cliffhanger, kind of an odd. So, with the master gone and the Temple Dragon destroyed, and his whole village in just in ruins for 20 plus years, Holf is at the mercy of the setting. Here's what I was thinking. Holf can simply just go back to Hallrith and join the council, figure things out with the archives, maybe join them, become a sage of sorts, or become a traveler like Edwin was, his original mentor, his actual uncle. Like Holt has a few possibilities here. And because we'd be diving into Ironsorn is the whole Val Bonds thing. And I'm still learning the system. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble grasping it, even though it's incredibly easy from what people have said. Another big thing is I'm waiting for the asset cards to actually come in physical print form. I have my little, I'll show you guys. I have my little class project here, the my Iron Sword binder, and I have character sheets and the quick to play kit, which includes a quick summary of the rules, and then all the moves detailed. This is all from the play kit PDF that you can download for free, not a sponsor, from the Iron Sword website. And then I had all the asset assets printed, and I eventually did cut some out for Wholf. And on the back side, also downloadable from the Iron Store website, not a sponsor, is the process track worksheet, which is great to see. And I would probably most likely use it if my campaign grows tremendously. Here are the complications with all this. I'm not canceling it, not going anywhere. I'm diving into it far more than I probably should. Let's first look at a map I made of Escabur. Before it was on paper, two islands, and I just had a few tiles explored, as you know, in traditional hex crawl, even though it's tiles per se. Well, using the website I think called Incarnate, I designed the map. So let's jump to the world map. So first, let me show you. Yep, that's the world map. Okay, so what we're looking at here, as I scoot up my chair, we have the North Escabur Island and we have the South Escabur Island. You can see how there are different geographic templates. As you get further north, there is more snow and tundra. As you get further south, there's just grassland and trees with obviously mountainous terrain in various areas. Let's focus first on the South Island because that is where we explored first. So South Escabur, you guys will notice that I have populated it completely. This whole map is the whole map itself is complete. We have not explored everything, but I obviously created a few more areas of interest for future characters to explore. We have the original Raven Shade that is kind of in the center left of the South Escobar Island. That's where our story started, if I'm not mistaken. Then the ruins of Ashford, which is the birthplace of Wholf. It's right there in the middle top, right just south of the divide. Divide is the split between both islands. There is the third location we explored, City of Haldreth, is on the top right corner of the South Island, which we've been there a couple times with both characters, even separately. And the Temple of Dragon, which is right there in the center right, lower center right, kind of on its own on the coast. I don't have names for the coastal lines or the ocean just yet, but obviously we'll see. I will have that considered later on. There is then some new locations we never explored. There's the Castle Emberstock, which is right there in the middle left next to the Ravenshade village. There is another city southwest corner called, ironically, Cornerstone. There is Septhane, which is up there in the northwest corner on the tip of the island. Then there are some regions. We have the Cursed Center, which is where technically the ruins of Ashford is located in the heart of, and where City Haldreth kind of echoes on the corner there, the very edge. There is the Watchstone Island, which has its own little mountain right there in the middle on the right side of the divide. There's a ship there for demonstrative that this is a ocean and a popular path for ships, vessels. There is on the bottom left next to Cornerstone, we have the Greenwood Forest, which is just a kind of vaguely named for now. It's obviously a forest that spans kind of in the shape of an eye, not too vast in size. Then there's the mountains of Gray. Pun intended for that one. Right there, based off my name, my stage name here. It's the split between the south and north of the islands and these mountainous terrains with the canyon in the middle. And then there's the western peaks on the western side of the island there. And that's pretty much all the topography of the South Escobar Islands. Like I said, there's a divide splitting the both islands. Now let's go to north. North Escobar is equally as rich in vegetation, or even more so, but it's less occupied. There's less settlements. We have just about three settlements, two villages, and one city to the very, very far north right corner. We have the city of, I believe, Cornward, if I can read that right. Sorry, cold word. Cold word. Sorry, I thought I was an L, an R instead of a L. Cold word. So, city of Coldward is up there in the very northeast corner, and that will be a very important spot for the next arc. We have Arlock. It's a small fishing village just in the center left of the snowy region of the North Escobar Island. We have a small village just on the south right side of the island called Dorman. And then there's a strange little tower on Barco Island on the left side off of the North Escabur Island. So we have two smaller islands and then the two larger islands as far as geography goes. We have the Pantheon Hills that are kind of in the center left middle, and then the great peaks of Pantheon just kind of growing, expanding all the way up to the city of Coldward. There's also the dark wood greens that pretty much envelopes the entire south half of the northern island. And that is pretty much it for the world itself. Like I said, we have, as I stand back up, we have a good template to work with. None of these locations outside of the four we've explored have been touched on. I haven't expanded on any of them. I haven't developed any backstories of what type of government they have, what kind of people or what kind of races live in these areas, if they're even abandoned or if they're even occupied for that matter, what relation they have to Wholf or any future characters. They're just placeholders. They're all just these empty vessels that we're going to explore as I typically improvise my solo video. I don't want to have these preset too much. I want to have them just a name, what they are, either village, town, city, fortified city, or castle, and go from there. So, world building is not my strength in these videos, and neither is sometimes role play or combat. I just kind of try to have this very broad approach to these games. Sometimes macro play, which is a method of just doing very generalized approach to role play, like saying this character does this and says that. But in the Wholf campaign, since I jumped off AI, I've been trying to role play much more. Not like the voices, but kind of being character, but I still see some, I still need to work on that. There's still some things lacking in. I'm not. Wholf wasn't really his own character. It was me being portrayed in some different form. Like I was trying to be based off too much myself in some respects. Not like obviously I'm not a proficient with weapons or swords, but basically being his own character. Like I need to have these characters be cartoonish to an extent. Like they have to be their own person. They can't just be me as I think about what they'll do and it becomes boring. Like, what's the fun in that? They have to be not too cartoonish, like off the wall, like Roadrunner, but or like Wile E. Coyote, but to be cartoonish enough to where they are distinguished and you can tell who they are apart from the others. Holf was a blank slate. He was a drifter. I have a tendency to do those kind of characters from time to time in my videos. They're easy to work with. They are templates. They're a very basic foundation to work off, and I can explore different avenues when they encounter chaotic moments in their story. I did that with the Red something. That was I'll come back to that, but basically it was a campaign loosely based on Fallout. Red Zone, I believe. It was a drifter for that matter, and I've done the drifter thing plenty of times. I've done Hull for a few times, actually probably more than that. But all in all, what I'm basically trying to conclude here is that the Escabur Islands have, again, I finally made that map. It has its art design. And the next arc will not be about Wholf. Wholf is not concluded by any means. What I want to do is make a new character similar to Wholf. Different scenario, different upbringing, different environment compared to a village in the forest kind of matter, which is cliche enough because again, that was ultimately AI. But the next arc will take place in that Coldward city of Coldward, up there in the northeast corner of the North Escobar Island. And because it's going to be in the cold, it's going to be very desolate, not abandoned, just not as lively as I was trying to make Haldreth to be, because Haldreth was right in the middle of the Escabur region, and it had potential to be very lively. But again, we didn't exactly explore much. I did explore the market and the alleyways as we are chasing the arcane down with the help of the guards, etc., and then eventually Hulk and Jory. Now Jory, he departed. He's out. He's not dead. He's not arrested or anything. Wholf let him. They both kind of had this. Not there was no audible agreement. There was no vocal agreement. Like what, let's let's not do this anymore. Let's not chase each other. We would go on our. We'll work on our own. We will go on our own paths. They did speak a bit about what they were trying to do and what they kind of had this mutual agreement as to where they will leave each other alone as long as their paths don't cross again. It was more of a mental agreement, if that makes sense. It's just kind of a based on professional courtesy, if that makes any sense at all. But Holf, and Jory are even. They saved each other's life several times, especially Jory. But Jory didn't see the need anymore. He didn't see the risk was worth it. They just fought this dragon who was probably the pitch meeting joke, too easy, barely an inconvenience, super easy, barely inconvenienced at the end there. I mean, he was a challenge in some parts. It probably could have been a little harder on him, but it was fun at the same time. Like I enjoyed the whole dragon and attacking our characters and a couple of scouts on the side there. But all in all, I was happy with the conclusion. In my opinion, I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And I feel that was a settling end for that arc, those two arcs that we had for Wholf. He had a character development, he had character development, he had some history revealed. There were a few locations we interacted with, some people, some other characters. Jory was a huge part, and then the master, Torgo. And I know I'm probably assuming that a lot of my viewers are not fans or are aware of Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's such a tight-knit community, a fan base, even though it is technically widely known. It's just kind of in the shadows of the internet. Um, so I enjoy using concepts from the show as far as character names and identities, but I don't want to make it a redundancy plan. Like I don't want to make it common. I say that now and be like, hey, look, I have two other characters I brought from another episode of Mystery Science Theater. If I do that, I will obviously state who they are. There is one I have in mind, two actually, from another episode called The Final Sacrifice of Mystery Science Theater 3000, or MST3K in short, where it was this character, is a Canadian film, this character named Zach Browsdower. The name is as cartoonish as it sounds, but it's a live action, low budget B movie. And there's another character named Troy McGregor. There's also a character called Mike Pipper. So you have all these really bad public domain movies that I love to draw from because I love movies. I love watching movies. So a lot of my stuff on here sometimes is inspired by movies. It's just an easy go-to, like my character appearance and their names and their antics and what they do, what they look like, what they say, what they how they are perceived. I like to borrow things from movies. It's easy. It's a quick go-to. I don't have to sit there and be like, oh, I can just think of a character like, for example, from the recent Formula One movie, Brad Pitt's character, Sonny Hayes. He's reckless. He's on the older side, 50 plus, but he's even though he's a reckless Formula driver, he had a terrible accident, a near-death experience. Probably should put the spoiler warning in this video. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, he's a tough guy in exterior, but he's still trying to prove himself, still trying to act like it was in the earlier days. Like he's nostalgic on racing, but he's still trying to prove himself to himself. So do things like that. Um, and so the next character for the Escabur campaign, which it'll now be called the Escabur campaign, no longer the Wholf campaign, just so you guys know that. I have an announcement here. It will take place in that northern city, as I mentioned, in Cold War, the city of Cold War, and it'll be a brand new character. Now, do I spoil it here for you guys? It will be mentioned in the first video, or should I keep it secret until the very end? It's about the character. I have an idea who the character is, not their name yet, but who they are in ties with everything else that's going on. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to tell you guys. The character is the brother of Wholf. I think it's probably necessary to tell you guys because I don't have a huge audience of like thousands of viewers, per video to be like, oh, the secret's gonna be revealed in the end. But it is the brother of Wholf. They were split up. He got kidnapped a few years ago before Wholf was able to start to develop memories and remember his past. So Wholf doesn't know he has a brother. His brother was taken up north, and I don't really want to say yet if Edrin knew or not. That's obviously a plot hole, but I don't want to say that just yet. But this brother of Wholf is going to be in the northern island and was taken up there years ago. Whether he was kidnapped or sold off to the to as a worker, that's going to be his problem. That's where he'll start. So he'll be up there in the Northern Island, and something will happen to him mentally where he gets a feeling that something is coming for him, or that he has to go somewhere himself. Like he has to venture out. Whatever omen he sees, he has to travel south to Haldreth. That's going to be the opening quest for this next character. Don't have a name yet, but that is the opening reveal that he is the brother of Wholf. Again, I was torn about revealing that. Probably some of you will be like, no, they should have kept that secret. But I want to give him some similarity and some build for me and some relevance for you guys. So it's not like just who's this random character we're coming up with? What happened to Wholf? Like, why are we just abandoning Wholf altogether and focusing on the northern islands? Not only is it an excuse to explore the northern Escabur Islands, but it's also an excuse to create a new character who is somehow connected to Wholf. So I'll leave it at that. All in all, I'm excited to try out jumping from Fate to the Ironsworn engine. I was even looking at my Starforged edition, which I've owned before for quite some time until I found the standard original Ironsworn game. And I was thinking, again, another Mystery Science episode called Space Mutiny. It's a very, very popular one in the fan base. People love it. It is absolutely hilarious. The movie is so rip off of Battlestar Galactica, terrible effects, literally scenes stolen from I think Battlestar Galactica. And but the characters are incredibly vague, so cliche. It's so easy and fun. The movie itself, if you like bad movies like I do, Space Mutiny is a great watch, especially the Mystery Science, the bots and Mike Nelson. So I was thinking of Starforged to base a one shot using the Space Mutiny setting. So it takes place on a ship called the Southern Sun. It's a race of these human characters. There is the main character, David Ryder. He's not from the ship itself. He comes in because he's being chased by some space pirates. There's also this strange race of telepathic women who called the Bolarians, I think. They get taken onto the ship. They kind of help and guide David Ryder. David Ryder gets caught up in this mutiny, hence the title, Space Mutiny, led by Calgon, Commander Calgon. There's also another character, I forgot his name. There's the bigger captain, the owner of the ship, or the runner of the ship, the leader. I forgot his name, but he looks like Santa Claus. They make a joke about how he looks like Santa Claus. There's his daughter, who is love interest of David Ryder. Lily, I think her character name is, but again, they make jokes about how she looks like Debbie Reynolds. And there's also another captain or lower ranking, or higher ranking individual who's in charge of the ship underneath that Santa character. He looks like Sting. So, and when those three characters are in line in the show, in the same camera angle, same shot, they go, oh, Sting, Debbie Reynolds, and God. That's what they look like. I just don't remember their names besides a daughter. So imagine doing that with Starforged. Probably not a great combo. Starforged, judging from how I'm perceiving Ironsworn in general, could be fun, but that is a long campaign. I think Ironsworn in general is it's too good to be used for a one shot, if that makes sense. Even though it's narrative heavy and the mechanics are there, there's a lot of moves and assets. It seems to be too invested to learn because again, 300 pages long with all the oracles and soul play to really just say it's a one shot. I think it's really something you want to build a character for months, which is a long shot, a long campaign. So I was thinking, well, why not just use Fate? So in the future, not anytime soon because I'm stuck with Ironstorm, I'm going to use Fate, probably accelerated, maybe, with this Space Mutiny one shot. And it's going to be the same exact story where this guy named David Ryder gets caught up in a space mutiny on a ship where he finds to be his new home. And I think in the show, he's bringing a doctor along with him to the Southern Sun, but the doctor dies in that pirate ambush and David Ryder escapes, but unfortunately the doctor dies. And Leela, the daughter of the leader of the Southern Sun, knew the doctor. She blames the David Ryder for his death. They obviously make amends, and then the whole debacle happens with the mutiny and Calgon, one of the dumbest names in the show's history. Up there is Zap Rousdower. It's hilarious. So I think a lot of the episodes from Mystery Science Theater can make good one shots. Though in these my supposed long shot campaign videos, which Wholf kind of qualifies for at this point, I like to take things from Mystery Science or movies per se. If I want to do one shots, it'd definitely be better just using an episode's inspiration. So that's really all I want to talk about. Please share your thoughts. I really hope it wasn't a tremendous mistake to share that detail that The next character will be a brother, the brother of Wholf. But to be honest with you, everything else can be revealed. Like I can develop this character in the first episode or the first next session zero, which I will record in developing with the camera down on the table. Like, all right, here's our character, Agent Smith. You know what? He's a virus, likes to do this kind of thing. We'll do things like that. Like I'll develop his vow, his background vow, then a starting vow, which is to probably deal something with how to get to the southern island, like acquire a transport some kind of vessel to get down there because they'll have to traverse the landscape. If you saw on the map, it's not exactly that easy. And we'll build his character on how he acts, what he looks like, how he talks, how old he is, his backstory, his family that obviously probably adopted him because again, both Wholf and this character are brothers. They were both eventually adopted after the original family was disbanded. I'm already thinking of another twist, to be honest with you, and I'll probably keep that one secret. But for now, that's really it for this Lex Talk episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry this wasn't a episode for the Wholf campaign, but now it's going to be called the Escabur campaign or World of Escabur. Still working on that working title, but most likely Escabur campaign. And I'm so damn excited for this because this will be the format. Oh yeah, right, the format. Obviously, I always typically record it down, but when I stand up like this and not sitting down, I have a tendency to think more clear, if that makes sense. I feel more open and more observant on the world, and I don't take notes as much. That is one thing I feel like was holding me back, even though it's very important to take notes on your solo campaign videos. If any of you play solo play, you don't record them like I do on here. You play them at home by yourself, you do the thing. However, you track them. Notes are very important, whether they're video documented, you're taking a little chicken scratch, your rightful novels, however you note them down. In my opinion, it keeps me from making these videos at times. Like I don't want to do all those notes. So here's what I'm thinking. Besides the obvious, I have to track, I have a tendency to I always want to track locations, factions, and characters. Maybe pivotal moments from time to time, but everything else will be in here. It will live in here and it will die in here. There'll be a lot of things, there'll be some inconsistencies, but the general, and when there's world building with the cities, I will track that stuff. I will take a break from the video, write that stuff down, like this city is a theocratic government, or it's a democracy, or it's authoritarian, stuff like that, council. Because Haldreth is kind of a, led by the Elder Council, it's a theocratic council that oversees the city itself, and it's one ruling party while Ashford was also had religious ties. Ravenshade, we didn't explore too much. It was kind of probably just the general village. I think I mentioned an elder in the video. Anyways, stuff like that. If we do a world building on a location, that I might take notes on, or just try to remember it. Like the basics, will be like theocratic city, authoritarian. That's it. Population, I don't care about. I really don't. The size of it might be important. But for everything the character does, it has to be in here. I have to detail it to you guys. I have to explain it to you. And it forces me to build on the role play, forces me to build on the setting. So I'm not just sitting there, no, no, no. And also, my handwriting is on and off pretty bad. So I at my OCD, I'll be like, that's terrible, right? I got to re-erase that. That also slows down the video. So a lot of you, I'm sure that a lot of my viewers are used to people edit their videos, which I don't do. I don't have the time to do that. I'd rather just record the post, which I prefer. And it's also more challenging because I have to deal with my skips and my stutters and my pauses. So I try to keep myself going like a train. And so what I'm thinking is like this. Whatever's happening, the location that will be happening, obviously there'll be AI because I can't draw. I have no artistic skills. The background will be the location the episode takes place. And if we happen to jump off, I will have another image ready just in case, anticipated. So that will be an AI element. Obviously, I don't shy away with AI using it for background art. It's not art per se, it's just a representation, it's a visual aid for you guys. So and that will happen when I'm talking. So a lot of my episodes I'm going to try, I'm very consistent in my words here, my promises, but I'm going to try to do this. Because it feels so much more comfortable talking to you guys when I'm standing up. I'm not sitting down, I feel locked in, along with some medical reasons. But on top of that, it's more freeform. I can improvise. I feel I can come up with ideas better. I've got my oracles off to the side here. I can still roll dice. And now when I roll dice, I will show you the camera angle of the dice rolling. That was the other thing. I'm going to try to do multi-camera production where I'll have two cameras set up. I'll have my dice and my character sheet in front of you guys. So when I talk about it, I'm going to click something right here on my side, and you guys will see the table and you will see the dice in the character sheet. So yeah, that's it. And now what you guys are looking at is the Mac active uh, keying built into the Mac itself. This is not the one that's built into OBS. The OBS one is far worse. This is phenomenal. I don't have a green screen. This is very impressive for what it is. But the one in OBS, which I will have to do, is obviously much worse. But that's the only choice I have because using this plugin here it when you do the Mac thing, it applies it to all of the video inputs. I don't know why. So if I go to my camera angle on the ground on the table, you'll see the same image. You'll be keying on everything. So it's like there's no workaround for that, unfortunately. I can't apply this background effect, as impressive as it is, to just this camera here. It will apply to both this camera and my table camera, which is mounted down. So just to recap, I will talk to you guys like this. I'll be on camera more often. Um, So it'll be more personal, more face to face. I will do more role play, maybe voices. I don't embarrass myself too much. And when the time comes for anything character sheet related, I'll be right there. I'm not taking notes anymore. I'm like, okay, my character walks over here. He does this. He found this. Obviously, with Iron Sword inventory, it's just supply, which is great. It's abstract. And again, I won't be tracking notes on everything. It'll be all in here to remember generally what happened. With that being said, I will take a summary of the video using AI to summarize what happened. And I'll keep that document on my computer just so I can recap like what I did, just to refresh my memory. Because if there's a gap between episodes, I forget a lot of it, not obviously the biggest things. So yeah, so there'll be a blend of traditional play and AI, mainly AI as a tool, the backgrounds and the summarization of the episodes. That's really it. Thanks for walking. Thanks for listening and walking, as I felt like I just did here. And I will see you guys next one. Take care.